What is going on, everyone? It is Drew. What it do? Hopefully, you guys are having a good Sunday, or whatever day you're watching this, you're having a good day. As some of you may know, I host my very own podcast called the Beyond the Garment Podcast. And on one of my previous episodes, I actually had Megan Gribben, aka Playboy Maggie, aka Kyron Warwick's girlfriend, if you guys know Kyron's channel, on the podcast. And I wanted to just show you guys that conversation. I've done a few podcast episodes where I've recorded the clips, but I haven't posted them on YouTube or anything like that. And so I posted two of my other podcasts on the channel. So if you guys want to check those out, you can check those out. But for this episode, I talked to Playboy Maggie, Megan Gribben, about her upbringing, her style ethos, what it's like creating content, and just her overall, life and things like that. Most of the people who watch this video are going to be subscribed to the channel already, so shout out to you if you guys enjoy this episode. Let me know if you guys want to see more podcasts. I'm definitely going to have more podcasts on the channel. It's just a matter of which podcast episodes I want to have on. So anyways, enjoy this episode, you guys. Enjoy the conversation. Sit back, relax. Have this playing in the background while you're working or drawing or doing whatever you do on a Sunday or whatever day it is. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Cool. 3, 2, 1. I am so excited for today's guest, you guys. She is a fashion enthusiast and content creator. I watch her videos on YouTube with my girlfriend all the time, even though there's not a ton, but we've watched all of them. Allow me to introduce you guys to today's guest, Megan Gribben, aka Playboy Maggie. Megan, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you for asking. Before we started this call, Megan was telling me how it is brick season currently. And it definitely is. It is bitter cold outside, even where I am in Colorado. Megan, where are you located? Just so the listener can have a reference. We'll talk about it, obviously, but
So I'm in Montreal right now, and it's completely unbearable this weekend. My boyfriend and I tried to go on a walk yesterday, and we couldn't even leave the house. It was like so awful. But
man,
I put it in the vlog, so you'll see it soon.
oh, can't wait. All right, Megan, let's get into the first question of the day. The question I always start out with gives the listener a little bit of background about yourself. So, Megan, what is your background? Where are you from? And how was it like for you growing up as a kid?
So I grew up in a very small town off the island of Montreal. It only has about 4,000 people living there, so there's really not that much cultural influence. Um, and I would say the town is predominantly white, but to be completely honest, it's completely white. Like there's absolutely no cultural backgrounds other than white ethnicity. So
Right.
I definitely felt a bit deprived of different like walks of life and just different cultures. So I ended up reaching out to the internet very young to try and like just find out more about the world and obviously fashion and culture.
Right.
And yeah, I felt it was fun when I was young because there was a lot of activities and it was the country. So there was just a lot of space to roam around. But as you get older, I feel like you feel more and more trapped. Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely. That's really interesting. I had no idea. What are some of the, I guess, most memorable moments of your childhood? Obviously, you searched the web to kind of find out about things. What were some of the most memorable moments of growing up, in that kind of secluded, part of the world, but also like, what did you search on the web? What kind of things were you looking at? What were you kind of Googling or YouTubing at a very young age?
Yeah, it definitely was secluded because you couldn't even get any sort of public transport to get out. The only way to get out of
Wow.
town was with a car. So until you have your license, like you're very much
Stuck.
staying put. Yeah.
Yeah.
So to try and branch out, funnily enough, I found kind of the Ass Pizza group first,
Mm.
like Father Steve and Mike the Ruler, and I was just completely fascinated by their lifestyle and all the videos they were making in Soho. And obviously, I feel like anyone interested in fashion, I kind of started out with like Supreme and all those kind of hype beasts.
Everybody starts with the Supreme.
Yeah. So
So
yeah, I was pretty obsessed with like that kind of lifestyle they were living.
definitely, definitely, definitely. I mean, yeah, that's such an interesting point. I think a lot of people's entry point into fashion, into knowing about clothes is Supreme. So I can
Mhm.
definitely relate to that. And I bet a lot of people can. If they know anything about fashion, they know that, Supreme is one of those brands that, oh, people line up outside for, weeks, days, just to get nine,
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
it opens the floodgates.
Definitely, definitely. Megan, this is a really important question that I wanted to ask early on. Why do you call yourself, or whoever gave you this nickname, why is
Yeah.
your nickname Playboy Maggie?
I know it intrigues a lot of people because it's a very, like, bold username,
Absolutely.
and I gave it to myself. It was a couple years ago. I was at a party, and it just, like, popped into my head, and I've always had such a love for Playboy, the
Mhm.
magazine, Hugh Hefner, that whole movement that they did. I know it's fairly controversial with people's standpoints on what he was doing, but
Right.
I just absolutely love everything Playboy represents, especially back then. I feel like
Mhm.
it has lost its charm a bit through the years, but um, I just felt like that was something that really represented me in a way. And secondly, I'm very into like usernames that look aesthetically pleasing with
Mhm.
no like not too many spaces or dots or anything.
Definitely.
I felt like just the lettering together kind of pleased my eye, so
Definitely.
yeah.
Definitely. Very cool. I think you make a really good point about Playboy. Playboy is one of this like almost like a heritage American brand at this point. You know what I mean? I mean,
Mhm,
definitely at this point. And there's even a documentary on it. My mom and I are actually talking about this same thing about how, obviously it's very controversial in some aspects. But Hugh Hefner in particular, what he was able to accomplish, right, in
mhm,
just a business sense and a marketing sense,
mhm.
is something that, anyone can take and kind of flip it into their own version. So, but
Yeah.
it definitely is an interesting, intriguing nickname. My girlfriend and I, we were debating about what it was. We were like, oh, she was like, oh, it's Playboy Cardi, it's something about Playboy Cardi or something like that. But
Yeah, I have heard that before, but no, it's definitely Playboy, and like you said, to go from being a publication to being a household name and going from a magazine to a lifestyle, like, you
mhm.
can't take that away from Hugh. He was really one of the first to, like, do it. It's insane to me.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, and you see it in fashion all the time. I mean, Playboy has collaborated with Supreme, I'm pretty sure, of the likes
Mhm,
of Supreme and several other brands. And it's, synonymous with America and Americana, American kind of I don't know the word, I don't know the words to put into it, but if you know what I'm saying.
the American dream, for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly, exactly.
Mhm,
So I want to ask you, Megan, Playboy Maggie, how did
mhm.
you first get into fashion? Obviously you said it was through internet search and whatnot, but when was the moment you're like, I want an item, whether it's a Supreme item or whatever? How did you kind of start that process?
Yeah, the early days of my fashion fascination was definitely through TV actually. So we had cable, but like not that many channels. And
Hmm.
one of the channels that I believe was just given to you when you had the cable subscription was the Canadian Fashion Channel.
Hmm.
I think it was called the Fashion Network. And Jean Beaker was the host, and they would always play this show called Raw, which basically just kept looping fashion shows through like the 90s and early 2000s. And it was actually with high fashion runways that I first got really fascinated at the fact that this was like a whole part of the world that I had no idea existed and how experimental it was. I remember I would see like nude fashion shows and just so much creativity that I'd never seen before. So
Definitely.
yeah, started there.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. And when did you find yourself kind of purchasing some of your first items? Was it a result of watching the shows that you were watching, What was kind of like your first brand that you actually decided, okay, this is actually something I want to invest, even if it's $10 in, you know what I mean? When did you
Mhm.
start doing that?
Um, I would say when I was young, I was extremely materialistic, which is something I'm doing my best to get away from at this age.
Mhm.
I don't see it as being something that is as satisfying anymore.
Definitely.
So I think my mentality back then was more is more. So I tried to just accumulate like all sorts of different pieces, and
Mhm.
I was really obsessed with like patterns and not a particular brand, I wouldn't say.
Right.
But I just found myself having so many clothes and always saying like I have nothing to wear.
Right.
So it's only recently that I've had this mentality of being like, no, I'm gonna stop consuming and save up and buy something that is definitely like at a higher price point, but is something that I'll wear and I'll feel so good in.
Definitely, definitely. I think you're so right. It definitely comes with age and maturity because I feel like a lot of people, even I was the same way, where you consume, and you end up not really wearing that much, and
Mhm.
you end up either having to give away, throw away, or do these kind of things, which aren't the best for the world. And saving up coins, saving up dollars to buy a piece or buy an item that will last you, from age 21 to 27 is incredible. You know what I mean? And it is
Yeah.
something that'll stick with you much longer. So I love that. I love that progression.
Yeah.
Um, how would you describe your style right now to someone who doesn't know you?
So I myself am very confused with where my style's at recently
Are we all?
because yeah, I used to give in to trends very easily. So I ended up accumulating so many different styles in my closet, and it has become pretty hard to piece together one cohesive like aesthetic for myself, which I'm trying to kind of streamline now because I feel like it only rubs like it only pays off in the long run
Mhm.
monetarily and just to brand yourself. I feel like in this day and age, creating your own personal brand just for your own name is very important. So I would say right now what I'm trying to build towards is very like Japanese inspired um collegiate wear. So like very like if someone went to an Ivy League but had a little more pizzazz.
Add a little spice.
Yeah.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. Japanese, well, it's really interesting you said that because um, I've been doing a lot of research on Japan recently. Not necessarily even in the fashion aspect, but just Japanese culture, lifestyle, and things of that nature. And the attention to detail when it comes to Japanese textiles, fabrics, when it comes to design work, definitely is impeccable. So I mean, kudos to you for taking a hunch and looking more into that styling. Very, very cool. Um, Megan, what is the reason you decided to start YouTube? I don't know how long you've been doing YouTube. It hasn't been, extremely long, but from what I've gathered, the research we've done, it's been, over the last, half a year, if not even, you know what I mean? What
Mhm.
compelled you to create a YouTube channel, start making YouTube videos and supplement to your Instagram and things like that?
Yeah, I have always looked to YouTube to be one of my prime sources of entertainment, which I know not everybody necessarily does, but I definitely feel like I grew up on YouTube. And I've always been kind of fascinated with like the different communities that YouTube builds with like the fashion community and beauty and, lifestyle vloggers and everything. And it always was a goal of mine to start a channel since I was young, but I think I neglected the amount of energy it took and the commitment it takes to kind of share your life and your thoughts because I feel like once you go there, you can't go back.
Yeah.
People know too much.
Yeah.
So it was a big jump for me.
Definitely. Were there anything like is there anything that didn't expect when you first started, or obviously you're starting right now, but like what are some of the like I guess pain points or just things that you didn't expect to happen or things that you just were like, oh, this is how it is. Okay, I didn't really expect it to be like that moments.
Yeah. Editing has been really hard for me.
Yep.
Um, Luckily, like another reason I started YouTube was definitely inspired by my boyfriend. He definitely pushed me to do it as well. So he helps me with those little elements that I don't figure out on my own. But I could see for someone who doesn't have that person sitting beside them able to help them, it could be a huge pain in the ass.
Definitely.
But I found it's funny because whenever I'd watch YouTube and the creator is like, "Oh, I'll add this photo or I'll add this in the description," and they never do, I would always be so aggravated, but
It
then I
bugs
realized that
you.
I started doing it. So that would probably be the worst part.
You gotta stick to your word on YouTube, man.
You
People
do.
appreciate it. People really do. Definitely, I definitely understand, and I think a lot of people who want to start YouTube, because I think a lot of people want to be content creators, right?
Yeah.
It can be an appealing job, essentially, especially if you're getting paid for the work that you're doing. You get to set your own hours. You get to talk about what you want to talk about. Things of that nature are very appealing. And so, but it does take a lot of work too. And obviously, you're probably finding that out firsthand in starting your YouTube channel. Even though you have a great resource in your boyfriend, um,
Mhm.
it still does take a lot of work, and it doesn't just happen for anybody.
Yeah, it gave me a lot of respect for other creators.
Yeah, definitely. One of the things that I've seen you do on your YouTube channel is go thrifting. Are you a big thrifter?
I used to be. I used to use it as kind of my main way of acquiring clothes and good vintage clothes. But recently I found that I'm doing that thing again where I accumulate way more than I need.
Yeah,
And I am at a point where I'm pretty satisfied with what I have and like the elements in my wardrobe. I feel like I have acquired most of them.
yeah.
So I've actually put like a cold turkey stop to it. And I haven't gone in a while. Or even when I do go, I'm very picky with buying.
You're not really buying as much, right?
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. And let's talk about this for a second then. The coming to a point of, when you realize that you have the pieces that you want, when you have the items that you want in your wardrobe, um, that process, is it something that, is because I think it's a combination of things, right? I think it's a combination of you saying to yourself, I don't need to overconsume, right? That's one
Mhm.
aspect of it. Another aspect of it is you truly have the pieces that you want. Um, for someone who's entering into fashion, how quickly can they expect, that to happen? I mean, obviously each person is different, but do you think it can happen to someone in a year, 10 years, 5 years, 3 months, or kind of give us your thoughts on that?
I'm pretty hopeful in that way because my style changes so often, I feel like I am able to acquire a good amount of pieces pretty quickly if you
Mhm.
do regularly thrift or if you do a lot of research online and find the right brands that you like. I would say that's a bit more difficult though when I see people who are more into archive fashion and they don't just stumble upon the items that they want all the time. So the probably the higher price point and the more highly sought after your wardrobe would be, it could definitely take years and years and years.
Definitely. Great point. Great point. Um, I want to ask you a couple of quick fun questions.
Mhm.
We're barreling towards the end of the podcast here, but we got some good questions coming up too. Um, your go-to fits. Let's say I don't know what's going on in Montreal right now. Are you guys in lockdown or are
Yeah,
things are
lockdown.
COVID? Okay. Obviously, imagine the year is not 2020 or 2021. It is 2017 or 18 or something.
Okay.
And you are getting ready to go to the grocery store, excuse me. What are you wearing going grocery shopping?
So regardless of the pandemic or not, when I go grocery shopping, I definitely don't try very hard to look good.
Definitely.
Something very cozy. And My boyfriend and I have this joke that I look like Leo escaping the paparazzi because I wear my huge puffer and I always wear a baseball cap when I go to the store because I don't want that interaction. I don't want to
Definitely.
stop and chat. So I always wear my Yankees cap, my huge jacket. Um, so yeah, if you catch me at the grocery store, no, you didn't.
It wasn't me.
Yeah, that was not me.
Definitely, definitely. Now, what about if you're going to like a local eatery or restaurant with your friends? What are you wearing then?
So lately when I've been going out, which is like never, but if I did, I always gravitate towards leather pants. I feel like it's like the perfect way to start an outfit.
Hmm.
And then from there you can build. So I'd probably wear some high-rise leather pants, probably a boot and a long sleeve like mesh shirt with some graphic or something.
Very cool. Very, very cool. And last but not least, let's say you're going to a party or something. Playboy Maggie, is making an appearance. What is she wearing?
When I go to a party, I usually try and pull out a skirt or like something a bit more feminine, with like a higher boot with like a little bit of a heel.
Hmm.
Something still comfortable though, because there's honestly no point of wearing heels if you're not going to be comfortable.
Definitely.
So probably a booted heel and like a cute little sweater or something on top.
Very, very cool. Very cool. Megan, one of the questions I wanted to really ask you too, I'm glad I added this question to the list. Let's talk about footwear for a moment.
Hmm.
Um, I'm a type of guy. I love sneakers, and I've always loved sneakers. I grew up playing basketball and things like that, and so sneakers and sneaker culture were always a part of the sport and just a part of my aesthetic as a high schooler and college kid. How about for yourself? Are you more into sneakers? Do you like boots? Do you like heels, like you mentioned? What is your favorite type of footwear currently?
So my whole life, I've been a very big boot person. No matter what, like even in the summer, I'll always gravitate towards boots. And it's only recently that I've really pushed myself out of my comfort zone to try and like incorporate sneakers easier because I do feel like boots are the easiest to throw on.
Hmm.
They look good with pretty much any silhouette. But I got the New Balance 990s,
Beautiful
and ever
shoe.
since then, my life has changed. Like I definitely see how people love sneakers and want to wear those every day. And as for like Jordans, I'm only starting to kind of get into it and understand that culture now
Hmm.
because it is a huge, huge community. And I feel like you got to tiptoe in.
Definitely, definitely. And Jordans are there's so many and the history is so rich as well. That definitely it's a lot of fun though, right? I mean, there's so much to learn, there's so much to do. So it's definitely very cool. What are your favorite boots that you own right now?
This is pretty typical, but the Doc Marten Jadens
Mm.
are obviously my go-to. You did a little smile.
Doctor, doctor.
Yeah, I feel like everyone has a pair of those. But like I said, I'm trying to get away from boots, so um I just been wearing huge winter boots right now.
Yeah, it's definitely very cold outside. So I understand when it's really cold, it's sometimes a lot tougher to wear sneakers anyways because it's
Hmm.
your feet get freezing.
Yeah.
But one of the last questions I want to ask you, Megan, is this question about um figuring out your style. We talked about it a little bit earlier in the podcast. But I think a lot of people, they may go on Instagram, they may go on YouTube, and they're trying to consume content to help them figure out, how they're going to present themselves in the world. How are they going to have their own style, essentially? My question to you is, what would you tell someone who is trying to figure out what their style is?
I would tell them that knowing how to dress for your body and your body shape is probably the best place to start because you might go on Instagram and see someone kill an outfit and it's, high-rise pants or something, but maybe with your proportions, it's more flattering for you to wear low-rise pants or, you know, trying to figure out your proportions and build around that because it's one thing to see what other people are doing, and it's another thing to understand yourself and like what makes you most comfortable. So I think that was where I personally started, and just understanding those dimensions.
Awesome. Again, thank you so much for being on the Beyond the Garment podcast. Seriously, it was a pleasure getting to know you. You're a very likable person, and I would love to have you on in the future. Where can people find out more people? Oh my gosh, what am I saying? Where can more people find out? Wait, where can people find out more about you?
Well, thank you so much for having me. And if people want to keep up to date with me, it would be Playboy Maggie on Instagram, or my YouTube channel, I believe, is Playboy Maggie as well.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah.
Thank you again, Megan. Playboy Maggie. Like I said, it was a treat. Thank you.
Thank you. Talk soon.
Boom, just like that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the episode with Playboy Maggie. Megan, she's a really awesome person, and I had a great conversation with her. Hopefully she's doing well. I haven't talked to her in a little while, but if you guys have any suggestions for other people I should have on the podcast, let me know. I would love to know. Fashion related mostly, but we have content creators, artists, musicians, painters, whatever you guys think. Let me know. All right, well, have a wonderful rest of your guys' day. Like I said, spreading peace, love, and positivity to you. See you guys in the next video. Peace.